sponsors for today. So, firstly, who's been sponsoring for the whole week is the Feintuch family, Lili Nishmas, his grandmother, Bleema Bas Yitzchok Yehoshua Weiss, right? Yahrtzeit is Thursday. And we have another sponsor also. This is Shmuel Lerman, Lili Nishmas, his wife's grandfather, Achav Yehuda ben Achav Aaron Stern. His yahrtzeit is today. And unfortunately, also, Lili Nishmas, his aunt, his wife's sister, Tzivya Bas Yitzchak Gershon Wolf, who was
mother's sister,
Tzivya Bas Yitzchak Gershon Wolf, was nifter in Manchester this morning.
Of the virus?
Yeah, another Corona Holocaust victim. We actually have a Wolf family Zoom meeting to say to Helen for all my relatives who are not well at 9 o'clock across the world, in Israel, in Gibraltar, in England, and in North America. David Wolf is hosting a 5-minute Zoom meeting to daven for everybody. Aaron Levine needs refuah shalema. He's been out for 3 weeks now, Aaron Levine. All right, Surus Tavis.
Okay, so also make it a refuah shalema for all your relatives and their schus too.
Yeah. Aaron's name, Aaron Levine's name, we should look for him. Aaron and Toba Etel. Toba. It's Tes Vav Yud Beis.
Yeah,
Aleph.
Toiba, right?
Toiba. All right, Surus Tavis.
Yeah, you were at the mission on Lamech Chesam Beis.
That's Yamor, but it's not what you say.
Lamech Chesam Beis, the Mishnah.
Yeah.
Zok the Hera Gemara. Let me see if I have it. Tanur Sheshikua. So now we're getting in to the next kitchen appliance, which was the tanner, which, as we discussed, retained its heat and was much hotter than a kira. So tanner Sheshikua Bikashu Vigavava. So you use the lower intensity fuel. You're still not allowed to put anything into it. Bein mitoichloi, bein me'al gabav. You're not allowed to put a tafshel on top of it or inside it. Kupach, which is a single burner stove, which is hotter than the kira, but not quite as hot as a tanner. Shesiku bekashu legavava. If you use the lower grade fuel, harezek kirayim, we'll treat it like a kira. The gefes of eitzim hareu katana. But if you used the more high intensity fuel, then it has halach of a tanner, and therefore you would not be able to make shia or chazor. Zok tehela gemara. Tanner shesikua. What exactly are we talking about? A tanner that you use, that you heated up. So for Reb Yosy Simon, Reb Yosy thought to say that when it says you're not allowed to put something into the oven, toicha is toicha mamish, literally inside the oven, and al gabav is al gabav mamish. Aval lismach shaper davi. So even though you're restricted putting anything into an oven, nevertheless you're still allowed to put something outside the oven and lean up against the oven. Frek the Gemara, Esei. It's not possible to say that. Esei Abaye. Kupach sheshiku b'kashu v'gavava. Goes back to our Mishnah. Chareku kirayim, it has the din of a kira. But if you use begefes or be'etzim, hareyu ketaner, v'oser, and therefore it will be oser. Now, what are we saying? Since we're comparing the kupach that was heated up with gefes and eitzim, since we're comparing it to a tanur, therefore it's going to be oser. Haken kira. If you would compare a kupach to a kira, then shuri, it would be mutter. So let's try to understand exactly what's mutter by a kira and what's osir by a tanur. But I ask you, what exactly is the case of our Mishnah? If we're discussing putting something on top of the tanner or on top of the kira. Uvamai, what is the case of our Mishnah? If it's not Gorifikotim, well then Elakira ki ein grufa ketuma al gab of mishari. We know you're not allowed to make chazara onto the top of a kira if it's not Gorifikotim. And we need to find an example of an action that's mutter by a kira and also by a tanner, and we're claiming that by a kupach, if you use the fuel of a gefes or eitzim, then we compare it to the tanner and it's also. So what exactly is that action? If we're talking about putting something on top of it and it's speaking about einig rufa ketuma, then it's also even if you compare it to a kira. Elolav, what must the Mishnah be referring to? Lismach. It's discussing the halacha of not whether or not you could put something on top of the kupach. It's talking about whether or not you could put something leaning on the outside of the kupach. Vikatani, and our Mishnah says that if it's heated up with gefesh or eitzim, or rehu kataner v'oser, it's going to be like a tanner and it's going to be oser. So in fact, you see that smicha is oser and not mutter. So you, Reb Yosef, who wanted to say that avalismach shaper dami frektabaye from our Mishnah, if you translate it in its simplest form, it seems to say that you would not be able to lean up a pot onto a tanner and therefore onto a kupach as well if it's heated up with gefes or eitzim. But also, that's not the case. Hacha b'kupach gor fekatim. The tanner gufa tumaskinan. We're speaking where it's gor fekatim. A tanner, even if you took everything out of it, there's still a nisser to make chazara onto such a tanner. So a kupach that's heated up with gefes and eitzim, harev kataner, it has a din of a tanner, the alpha gav, the gor fekatim. Even if you took the coals out, but it's so hot that we still aser al gab of usher, it'll still be usher to make chazara on top of the kupach. Dikakira, because if it was an akira, kigrufu ketuma shabardomi, we learned that if a kira is garfakatum, you're allowed to make chazara onto such a kira. But a kupach, under those same circumstances, you would not be able to make chazara on, because a kupach, when it's heated up with gefes or eitzim, has the halacha of a tanner. Zot the Helen Gemara Vayt. Tanya Kabos to Abaye. We're going to bring a riot to Abaye. In fact, that it's usher to be soimich a pot onto a tanner and onto a kupach. A simple riot. Tanya shesikua b'kashu b'gavava. A tanner that you heated up, even with the lightweight fuel. Nevertheless, ein soimich. You're not allowed to put any pot outside the tanner, to lean it against the tanner. Surely you cannot put a pot on top of that oven, and surely you can't put a pot into that oven, which is even hotter. And surely if you heated up a tanner with the higher grade fuel, you would not be able to put any pot on it, in it, or near it. What about a kubach sheshiku b'kashu b'gvava? There you're allowed to make smicha if it's b'kashu b'gvava, because then we're comparing it to a kira. The Vilna Gaon changes the next word and he takes out the word ve'ein, and he says v'nois nin al gabov. You're also allowed to put a pot on top of it, because we know that a kira that you only use the lightweight fuel such as kasha gvava, you're allowed to make chazar on it. The gefes of the eitzim, but if the kupach was heated up with gefes or eitzim, then ein tzon chemoi. So basically, our brisa says beferish that when you're not allowed to put a pot on top of a kupach or on top of an oven, huadin, you wouldn't even be able to put a pot on the ground leaning up against the oven or the kupach as well. Hi kupach, this kupach, heichidami. What exactly is a kupach? We've already explained it, but now the Gemara wants to drill down and get the explanation of how it works. Ikikira, dummy, if a kupach is similar in characteristics to a kira, then even if you heat it up with a better grade fuel, it should be just like a kira, that you could make shehiyah on it without garfakatim, a according to Chananya. And with Korva Kotim, you should be able to make Chazor. And Nikataner Dami, if we're comparing it to the heat of a tanner, well, then Afilu B'Kashu V'Gavava Nami Loi. Then even if you use a lightweight fuel, it should be like a tanner, and it would be other to make Shia Chazor. Or Malay, it's in the middle. Nova Chevrolet Midikira. A kupach, being that it's smaller, gets hotter than a kira. V'Zutra Chevrolet Miditaner. But it's not quite as hot as a tanner. And therefore, if you use a higher grade fuel, which will really heat it up, we're going to give it the chumrah of a tanner. But if you use the lower grade fuel, which doesn't heat it up that much, we'll give it the leniencies of a kira. Heichidami kupach. What exactly is a kupach? And heichidami kira. What exactly is a kira? We already saw pictures of it, but the Gemara now wants to discuss exactly what it is. Amar b'yezer b'chanina, kupach is a makom shvisas kederachas. It's a single burner stove, and kira makom shvisas shteikeders. Amar Abaye v'tem Reb Yirmiyah, afa nami nami tanina. We also learned the brisa just in case everybody misses tuman tahira, because this sugya is simply too easy and simplistic for us. The Gemara gives us a small dose of tuman tahira. And the Gemara says that we learned in the Mishnah, in the Brisa, kira shenechlaka la'orcha, tahira. If a kira was split lengthwise, it's tahar. And that means a kira is rectangular. And if it splits lengthwise, it splits and it damages both burners. Then it's going to be tahar. But if a kira got split l'rachba, it just makes it into two individual kupachs. However, kupach, bein la'archai, bein la'rachbai tahar. A kupach, which is only a one burner stove, it doesn't matter which way it's split. Either way, it destroys the position that you would normally place the pot in, and it renders it no longer keli, and therefore will be torah. So that brisa supports the way we're describing how a kira looks and how a kupach looks. Okay, gewalt.
Yossi, go back to that splitting picture. If you're telling me that it's still tahar and therefore it retains its shem kli, where's the fire coming from? The fire, it was a single fire in the middle, but both of them had a single fire in the middle. They were not two individual sources of fire.
Well, the way I understood it is, if I had a kira, I would line the entire bottom with coals.
And then
so
it splits.
They would still have. It's like if I cut my barbecue in half, I still have heat under both sides of the barbecue.
Yeah, but you're telling me the split didn't go all the way to the bottom? It's only a split on top?
No, it goes all the way down to the bottom.
So then there's a wall
but
missing.
There's
no
wall. There was
wall.
coal at the bottom of this, and there was coal on the bottom of that.
Yeah, but now you have an open hole in the middle.
You're talking about the side wall.
There's no side walls. That's right. The smoke's going to come out the side. It's not going to go necessarily straight up. You're going to lose heat. It's only got three walls.
It's very possible that you will. And it's very possible that its status, like a Shabbos, might change, but it's still considered a keli because it's still usable. You know, when you learn Maseches Kelim, it's all about the opposite of our disposable generation, where if something is no longer perfect, we discard it, we get rid of it. In Kelim, we learn how no matter how broken something gets, it's always usable for something. So yes, I'm sure if it's missing now one side wall, it's not as effective. But they didn't throw it out for that reason. There was still some benefit they could get out of it, and they would still use it. They didn't throw things out in those days. Okay, so
right. No, I wanted to make sure I understood the structure, the metzias of the kli, right?
I don't think there was a wall down the middle of a kira, because then it really is like two kupachs.
Right.
There was no wall. And in fact, when it cracked in half, now you're missing the whole side.
Right.
And I agree, but they still used it, I guess.
Yossi, is that the criteria, usability?
For Tumen Tahira.
Yeah.
Regarding Tumen Tahira, yeah.
If you can still use it, if it's split down the middle and it affects both places where you put a pot, if you somehow manage to put a pot there, so then it wouldn't.
Are you talking about when it's split lengthwise?
When it's split lengthwise.
I guess when it's split lengthwise, nobody would. The Mishnah assesses that no one would any longer use it for any purpose.
Okay, so that's not usable.
weight.
Correct.
It wouldn't support the weight probably.
I'm sorry, David?
It wouldn't support the weight in that lengthwise crack.
So it wouldn't be usable. Because of that, it wouldn't be usable. And once something's not usable for anything, it no longer retains its status as a keli, and therefore it's not going to become tummy anymore. Now we're getting into a new sugya. We're learning about fried eggs. Ein noisten beitza, betzat hamechem. You're not allowed to take an egg, lean it up against Rashi's a kumkum shel mechoshe. So if you have a copper pot on the flame that's heated up, and you want to take an egg and not put it in the pot or in the jug, you just want to lean it up against this kumkum, this chinik that's getting heated up. You want to lean the egg beside it, the shvil selnis galgal, so it should become a little bit cooked. And once an egg is a little bit cooked, we know it spins. So the description that the Mishnah uses to describe an egg that's somewhat cooked is nisgalgal, because as we know, it spins better. So you're not allowed to do that. Now,
Spins better?
A hard-boiled egg, if you spin it, it spins. If you have a raw egg and you spin it, it won't spin at all.
So, and therefore what?
So if you want to tell if an egg is cooked, you try spinning it.
So you don't open the raw egg when you want the hard-boiled eggs in your fridge.
Exactly. You don't crack an egg open if it's raw. You spin it, and if it doesn't spin well, then you know not to crack it, and unless you're a chazan. And if it spins well, then you can pull out the mayonnaise and you can get ready. Or the tzvibol, depending on how we eat those eggs. So the word that the Mishnah uses to describe an egg being at least partially cooked is tisgalgal.
Sorry, Yossi. So
Yes.
does it not matter what type of flame it's on, whether it's a kira or a
No, because we're not putting the egg on the flame at all. We're just putting it up against
but determine
a hot keli.
how hot the cooking is.
Well, if it's hot enough that it could make the egg harden, then it's hot enough. And we're not talking about a question of chazar or shehiyah. We're talking about a question of visual, right? You're actually cooking an egg. You know, this is a very important Mishnah because it represents 30% of our diet this week, right? There's eggs, there's potatoes, and oil. So this is a very big percentage of our diet. So we need to know this. Another thing you shouldn't do is if you have a shmata that was out in the sun and it was very hot, you've ever heard the saying, the phrase, it's so hot outside you can fry an egg there? Well, that's exactly what the Mishnah is saying. You had a piece of fabric that was left out of the sun. It was boiling hot. So you crack open an egg and you make a sunny side up right there on the shmata. You crack the egg on a really hot shmata and that'll cook it. So you're not allowed to do that either. Now here, the source of the heat is not a fire, it's the sun. And we're going to soon see that the Torah only prohibits cooking. The issur of cooking on Shabbos is only something that's heated up by a fire. But cooking in the sun is in fact mutter on Shabbos. Reb Yosy matter. And Reb Yosy is matter. He holds you're allowed to cook on this sudrin. You're not allowed to take, if sometimes the sand of the beach is so hot. Let's close our eyes and imagine we're walking along the beautiful white sand of a sunny, hot beach. There's a family from Israel who were in the Maldives for a vacation in March, and their flight home was canceled. And now they're never stuck in the Maldives, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I never went there and I never even had any reason to talk about it. And they're stuck there for Pesach, and they're in a beautiful resort. But being that they're stuck there, they're only paying $100 a night because the government is subsidizing it with a whole bunch of other families. There's virtually no coronavirus in the Maldives. They eliminated it completely. And they're stuck in jail, in a very beautiful jail. So they're walking along the boiling hot white sun. If they want to cook themselves an egg, if room service doesn't come fast enough, they're not allowed to take that egg on Shabbos and and cover it in sand, push it into the sand, which will become very hot, and it'll heat the egg. You're not allowed to do that. Uba avak terachim, or in the earth of a road. Either way, it's very hot earth. Bishvil shetitzla, so that it should become roasted. If you notice, here Reb Yosy does not argue, and he doesn't say it's mutter. Maisa, once upon a time, she also Anshe Tferya. The Anshe Tferya did something very interesting, and I believe we have a picture of it because in the PDF that I posted a couple of days ago, it was on there. So let me see if I can bring it up. Very interesting PDF. Let's see where it is. Right over here, please. It was right over here. Ah, let me make it bigger. So what they did is they wanted to bathe in the Hamoed area. So they wanted to bathe here. But the problem was, according to one shot, that although the pond that had the Hamoed area in it was nice and hot, it was foul-smelling water. Nobody wanted to toivel that. But up the hill from the pond where they had Hamoed area, they had a reservoir of clean, fresh water. So what they did is they put a pipe at the bottom of that cold reservoir that they were able to control its flow, and they ran that pipe as a drain to the cold water, and they ran it through the pond that was hot water, so the pipe will pick up heat from the Hamoed area around it as it flowed into the final bath. So here they get heated, cold, fresh water. So it gets heated up, so they get the benefit of the hot water, but they don't have to toivel in a pond that they felt was not clean and was not geschmack to toivel. So this is what the people of Tyria did. They decided, I think it's pretty good for premature times for having a heat exchanger on water to heat up a pool. It's
an indirect fired hot water heater.
It's an indirect fired hot water heater. There's no problem with pressure relief because it's open to the atmosphere. You don't need any pumps because we're running. It's like a combi core. You're running the pipe right through the hot water, and we have gravity forcing the water through the inner pipe. It's an engineer's dream. It's completely green and energy efficient, and it did a great job for them. So
why couldn't you use it on Shabbos though? If the water to go get a cup of coffee from the end.
I guess that was the shiloh as well, but that's not what they did it for. They did it for they used sila and shel sinor. They brought shil and shel, a pipe of cold water, l'toich ama shel chamin, through a reservoir of hot water from Hamoed area. Amru lehem chachamim. The chachamim told them, in Shabbos, if this is on Shabbos, it'll have the halacha of chamin shehuchmu b'Shabbos, v'asurin b'rechitza uv'shtia. So the Mishnah Akiva directly addresses your shaila. If you want to use it for a coffee, it would be asur on Shabbos. However, in Yom Tov, if this occurred on Yom Tov, then kechamin shehuchmu b'Yom Tov. Then it has a status of water that you heated up on Yom Tov. For asur b'rechitza, you're not allowed to heat up water for rechitza on Yom Tov, but a mutar mishtia. In fact, on Yom Tov, you would be able to use the hot water for your coffee. Zok the Gemara.
The pipe was there the entire time, or it was removable?
What do you mean? You mean from Sheshes you made Bereshis?
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of the things that was created, Erev Shabbos. But when did they put the pipe in?
It doesn't matter when they put the pipe in because it's running cold water, so it would get hot on Yom Tov for Shabbos.
That's right. They probably put it in before Shabbos. They had to excavate based on the picture. So they probably did it before Shabbos, but they're actually cooking the water, as Toby said, on Shabbos as it's filling. So Zok the Gemara, Iboivu, Galgal Mai. Now the Mishnah says you're not allowed to put an egg with tzedamechem, but it doesn't tell us if it's a malacha d'oraisa of cooking, or if it's only asur midrabanan. So the Gemara wants to know what happens if I actually do what the Mishnah said I'm not allowed to do. Omer Reb Yosef, Galgal chayev chatas. We actually treat it like real bishul d'oraisa. Omer Mar B'red Ravina, Afana nami tanina. We also learned a brisa that supports this. It says, Kol Shabbat b'chamin milafnei Shabbos. Anything that came into hot water before Shabbos. So that means if I had something that I have already cooked before Shabbos, if I've already cooked something before Shabbos, shoyin oisei b'chamin b'Shabbos. If it's a davar yavish that was fully cooked, I'm allowed to soak it in hot water on Shabbos because there's the svara of ein bishul achar bishul. V'chol shaloi b'chamin milafnei Shabbos. But if something was never cooked before Shabbos, then madichin oisei b'chamin b'Shabbos, you're allowed to make irui, you're allowed to pour hot water on it on Shabbos, because that hot water will not cook it. Chutz min hameliach yoshan, except for certain things that are considered kalei habishul, they cook very easily, and they will be cooked merely by pouring hot water on them. Normally, something does not become cooked unless it's soaking in hot water. But if I just pour some hot water over them, it does not cook it. But there are certain things that are called kalei habishul that can become cooked easily, that they will become cooked, and therefore there'll be an isur bishul deraisa, even if you pour hot water on it. So what is one example of kalei habishul? Melich yoshin. Rashi says that's basically herring, something that's been sitting in salt for a long time. It's softened up. The kulais hospanin, and it's a type of fish that's called tunino. It's not tuna. The article touches it as mackerel, I think. Yeah, Spanish mackerel. It's some type of fish that cooks very easily. Merely pouring water on top of them cooks them. And there, so from here you see, in fact, that it's an isur deraisa when something gets cooked. Now this is the sugya.
I just want to add that salt water heats much quicker than regular water.
When you say it heats much quicker, it cooks food. It doesn't get hotter faster, but it heats food faster. And the reason why it heats food faster is because the hottest water you can possibly have at atmospheric pressure, meaning if you don't have a pressure cooker, just a standard pot, is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, because it will not go to 213, it will evaporate. But salt water actually has a higher boiling point. So that salt water might not boil until it's 220. I don't know the number. It probably depends on the concentration of salt. So since it doesn't boil until it's a little hotter, it cooks faster, because if you cook in hotter water, naturally whatever you cook will get cooked faster. And that's why a pressure cooker works. Because if I can bring the pressure from atmospheric up to a much higher pressure, that allows my water to remain water even though it's much hotter. And I think that's how it cooks faster. I think that's how salt works. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Where is Pinchas Yosef when we need him?
Yeah, right. But what I'm saying is, if you have a bowl of fresh water next to a bowl of salt water, and you leave it in the sun for an hour, the bowl of salt water will be a lot warmer than one of.
So that's different than what I'm saying. You're saying it'll actually absorb heat better as well.
That's right.
The fact that there's a higher salt concentration will allow it to absorb the heat.
That's why it says cooked in salt water here, or it's not cooked, but it
was salted.
Yeah.
Here the fact that it was salted means it's already softened up, and it doesn't need much cooking to finalize its preparation.
I mean, if it's been sitting in brine, isn't it kavush anyway?
Yes, it is somewhat. Yeah, that's why it cooks much faster. Now, what's interesting here is this is actually the sugya that determines how we make coffee on Shabbos. Our instant coffee has already been cooked, and therefore it's already considered baba chamin, and that's why we're allowed to pour hot water right on it. However, raw tea leaves that have never been cooked, we're not allowed to pour hot water on them. Rather, we have to go into a klisheni, and only after it's in a klisheni are you allowed to pour hot water on it.
We do klisheni with coffee too.
Right. We possibly like that.
Yes, we are makbid. Most people are makbid on the klisheni as well.
I had a big shiloh right before the Shabbos before Pesach. There's a Nescafe coffee that has real grinds in it. Besides it being instant, there's grinds in it. And I asked I think
And it's not pre-cooked.
It's not pre-cooked. You have to be careful. It shows as instant coffee, but you can't use it on Shabbos.
Wow. That's very interesting. You know, people say that
I think it's Nescafe Gold.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
People say that a klisheni doesn't cook, and most of us are silent on the klisheni. However, there are certain people who are makbid on the klishlishi. That's why you have all the wasted cups hanging around the chinik, because people aren't makbid on the klishlishi. They're makbid on a new klishlishi that no one ever used before.
And they're not makbid on throwing out the paper cups either.
That's right. So there's a story where someone once was nifter and went up to Gan Eden, and the first thing that happened is they poured scalding water on him. He jumped and said, ouch, ouch. So they said, I thought you hold a cliche and he doesn't cook. Anyway, on another note, somebody told me about a flight. He was flying to Los Angeles, 5-hour flight, and half hour into the flight, the stewardess gets on the mic and says, ladies and gentlemen, there's 250 people aboard this flight. There was a mistake in the catering, and we did not order enough meals. We only have 40 meals. We're looking for volunteers, people that are willing to forfeit their meals so that others can have meals. And of course, nobody pushed the stewardess button. Nobody pushed the call button. So 10 minutes later, they say, by the way, whoever does forfeit their meal, we are going to give him unlimited drinks. An hour later, they announce, oh, by the way, we still have those 40 meals for anybody who wants them. Zok the Helu Gemara Vayter. The loyaf keni b'sudrin. You're not allowed to crack an egg on a fabric that's piping hot. Frek the Gemara. V'hodet nan noishin tapshul l'soy chabor b'shvil shiyei shomer. You're allowed to put a tapshul in a bor. You don't want it to go bad. So if it's in the bor, it keeps it cool. V'yasamayim hayofim v'royim b'shvil shiyei tzananu. What if I have an ice cold pit of water, but it's dirty, smelly water? And I have a jug of fresh water that I want to drink, but it's warm. So you're allowed to dip the jug and let it soak in the cold water so that the dirty cold water will cool off the water in the jug. And now he has a refreshing jug of clean cold water. Now that's not relevant to us right now, but what's relevant is this, at soinin bechamo, you're allowed to put a jug of cold water in the sun, so it should heat up. This seems to be only consistent with Reb Yosy, who allows someone to cook an egg with the heat of the sun. But the Rabbanon said you're not allowed to cook an egg with the heat of the sun. So this is not consistent with the Rabbanon. Omar Rab Nachman, that's not true. It's possible that even the Rabbanon agree to this, because there's a difference when you're directly cooking from the heat of the sun, which there's a makom to be makel, versus when you're cooking with a shmata that got its heat from the sun. So it's indirect. Indirect from the chama would be worse than directly from the chama. Amar Rab Nachman, bichama, if you're directly heating something in the sun, the chula amaloi pligi d'shari. Everybody would agree that it's mutter. B'tol d'sa'ar, if you are heating with tol d'sa'ar, for instance, in the case of the Mishnah, is you heated up a pot of water on the stove, and then you put the egg on that pot. So that pot of hot water is called tol d'sa'ar. It was hot water made by fire. But the egg is only being cooked by that hot water, not by the fire. Kul amalei pligi d'asr, everybody agrees that's asr, because we're geyser up to or mouch. And it's also derech bishul. Ki pligi, where's their machlekes, but tol d'schama. If you're not heating directly with the chama, rather you're heating with a shmata that got heated for the chama. My sover gazrin and tol d'schama, out to tol d'sar. The Tanakama holds that's usher, because if people see you just cooking an egg on a hot shmata, they will know that the shmata got hot because it was sitting in the sun. That from their perspective, maybe you heated that up in an oven, and it's actually told us or. So because of that, there are goyzer told us a chama as well. And you're not goyzer if it's something heated up in the chama, you're allowed to use it.
Could you use a solar concentrator?
Such as like a magnifying glass?
Yeah, or mirrors. They have solar ovens where it's there's mirrors that concentrate the sun.
I don't see why not.
What about what about if you heat something with a solar concentrator? Can you use that then to heat something else? It's not age.
Right, but the problem is that that'll be told in the machlokes between the Rabbanon and Reb Yosy. It's told as chama. So if you hold told as chama as a mutter like Reb Yosy, then you'd be allowed to. If you hold not as no.
Uh-huh. And the Gemara doesn't come out here.
That's why when it comes to solar hot water heating, it all depends on how the system works. In most cases, there's an antifreeze solution going through the solar panel, and it's only going through a heat exchanger in the tank. And then you wouldn't be able to use it because that's not chama directly, that's toldos chama. But if the water itself from your tank is being pumped through the solar panel, and that would only be able to be used in a atmosphere that never freezes,
right?
Then that's chama directly, and in fact that should be mutter.
Right.
I'm not sure how a dud shemesh works. I'm not sure if it's the actual water from the tank going through the panel, or if it's an antifreeze solution and there's just a heat exchanger in the tank.
Right.
I know the solar systems that we sell here in Canada all have an antifreeze solution that goes through the solar panel. Okay, we're talking a little shop for a minute over there. The question is, the tolos chama or chama is not derech bushel, and that's why it's mutter. Because there is such a shaila, is normally we're always geyser, even though it's not from fire, we're geyser up to fire. Why is it that by bishul, they didn't make such gzeres? Not only did they say that cooking in the sun is not ashim derais, it's mutter. Why wouldn't they have done it? So Reb Moshe said, because the bishul in the Mishkan was be'esh, it wasn't in the chama, and it's not derech bishul. So therefore, it wouldn't be a problem at all. So Reb Moshe declares, how about if you're cooking in a microwave? So Reb Moshe says, since nowadays, in his days even, it was actually the derech to cook in a microwave, that is considered derech bishul, and that would be an isher bishul as well.
It just seems strange that toldos or is it seems like a cliche.
No, even the kli rishon. If you cook up a pot of water on the pot, that pot is a kli rishon. Now, if I take that pot and I put something up against the pot, that's toldos or. That's a kli rishon.
You're cooking with the kli rishon. So the thing, so the thing you're heating, I see. Okay, that thing itself is the kli rishon. So you can't heat with a kli rishon.
You wouldn't
That's
be able
called
to
bishul.
Cook with a kli rishon. Exactly. That would be called bishul. It would be called toldos ish. That's right. Okay, now we're up to the next halacha in the Mishnah. Don't bury an egg in hot sand to cook it. Now, if you notice in the Mishnah, Reb Yosy only protested when you put the egg on a shmata, but when you put the egg in sand, Reb Yosy agreed to the Tanakama that you're not allowed to do that. Because the sand is also toildois chama. So why is it that Reb Yosy doesn't argue in the second case of the Mishnah? Rabba Omar, Gzera Shamayap in the remits. If you're putting it in sand, that's very similar in consistency to ash, and we're afraid that people won't be able to make that distinction. If they see people cooking eggs in sand, they'll say, I can cook in remits too. And the problem with cooking in remits, if you push something into remits, you're actually being mahaviv the remits, and that could lead to a deraisa, or that's already or mamish, and that's going to be osmi deraisa. So that's why Rabba holds. Reb Yosy didn't argue in the case of pushing an egg into the sand. Reb Yosy of Amar, a different reason. Mipnei shemazes offer memchaymer. Now the Gemara's nusach here is it's done automatically. If you look at Rashi, Rashi actually changes the gears of our Gemara and says Shema yazes offer. Zot Rashi Shema lo yehei sham choil oker l'chol hatzarich. There might not be a hole in the sand that can absorb the entire egg, and in order to get the egg to be totally submerged in the sand, you're going to end up sort of digging out a little hole to accommodate the egg. And the malacha here has nothing to do with cooking. The problem is digging a hole. That's how Rashi is. Tosfos doesn't like that. Tosfos says, if Shemazes offer Mkoimoi, Pirish Bekontris, the Riva doesn't like that. That there's no issue deraisa. So he has this for of it's we're worried that you're going to cook. So I'm not sure where to. Yesh liyashiv. No, he says it somewhere else. He says at the end. He says at the end that it's a problem of cooking. Yeah. Offer offer. There's a problem of muksa. So that's why Rashi said Shema. Rashi goes Shema because you might dig. But Tosfos learns that when you're pushing an egg into the ground, you're for sure moving it. So that's how Tosfos lives. Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says right there. So regardless, it's going to be Osher according to Reb Yosef, pushing an egg into the ground, either because of Rabba's reason of Shemayat and Beremitz, or Reb Yosef's reason is because you're moving the earth around. My by now, what's the difference? What the reason of Reb Yosef is, if it's because of Shemayat and Beremitz, or if it's because of a Pnei Shemez's offering claim, right? So if it was very, very soft earth, there's no problem of thinking to dig a hole, because Dr. Rashi, if you push, it's like quicksand. If you push the egg in, it goes in easily without you having to dig anything out. So if the whole problem is it wouldn't be a problem. But if it's the chash of Shabbos and Beremitz, then Reb Yossi would answer even in that case as well. Meisvei, Frek Gemara Kasha. Reb Shimon ben Elil Omer, Megalgal and Beitza, al gabe gag ritzeach. You're allowed to put an egg on a boiling hot roof to heat up. So the roof was heated by the sun, and now that the roof is all hot, Rashi says sometimes there's sand on the roof, and that will cook the egg. But if you cooked sid with fire, so that's told us eish, you would not be able to cook an egg in that sid. Bishlama, according to Rabbah, that the reason why Reb Yossi answered by this told us a chama is because of Gzeira of Shemayat and Beremitz, lekal mexer. On a roof, when someone is cooking an egg on the roof, no one's going to confuse that with putting an egg into coals. If the problem is that when you push the egg in, you might dig a hole to get the egg in, well then ligzar, they should be a Gzeira for a roof as well. Because by a roof that might also happen. Zok Gemara, stam gag less bayoffer. Most roofs don't have any earth on it, and since you don't have any earth on it, there's no place to make a gzeira on the roof. Not al tiyat and beremitz, and not al that you might dig a hole, and that's why everybody would agree that on a hot roof you're allowed to cook an egg. Toshma, ma'aser she'asu anshe tferya. So now, if you look back at our Mishnah, after the Mishnah quoted these halachas of putting an egg, of cooking an egg in earth, after that it brings a story from the Anshe Tferya to support the fact that you're not allowed to cook an egg in the sand that became hot by the sun. So let's see what it says. He brought a pipe. He brought this pipe through the hot water to heat up the cold water in the pipe. Now Reb Yosef was moided to that as well. He didn't protest. So Bishlam, according to the Iman Damar, who learns that the reason why Reb Yosef is machmer in the later cases of the Mishnah is because of Shem and Yat and Beremitz, Hainu the Domi Latmana. When you have a cold water pipe that's going through a hot water pipe, again, it's totally covered, it's buried, it's insulated, wrapped in the hot water. You could draw some parallel and say that the same problem of atmana in the sand is similar to atmana by running a cold water pipe through a pool of hot water. You can stretch that chash and appreciate why they would have asked it. If the whole problem with putting the egg in the ground had nothing to do with atmana or heat, it's all about because you're digging a hole, there's absolutely no reason why they should have outlawed that pipe in Tveria. And there's definitely no connection to the case before where, according to Reb Yossi, the whole problem is only because they might dig a hole. Do you think that the reason why the Mishnah quoted the story of Tveria was as a story to support the halacha that the Mishnah discussed immediately before it? Loi. The reason why we quoted the case of Tveria was to support the Reisha. And Rashi says, Apr.14, was talking about the case where Reb Yossi disagrees. And the case from Tveria, the story from Tveria, was brought down to support the Shita of the Rabbanan in opposition to Reb Yossi. Rabbanan Amrle, Aval Reb Yosef, Kagavna, Loimitzer. So we're comparing the case of Tveria to the piece of fabric if you have a piece of fabric that came hot from the sun, the Chachamim holds you're not allowed to roast an egg on it. Reb Yosy holds you are allowed to roast an egg on it. And the Mishnah says, from the story of Tferia, it seems like something that's heated from the sun, you're not allowed to cook with to support the Shita of the Rabbanon. It says, Lo Yafkenu B'Sudrin, Reb Yosy Mater. And this is what the Rabbanon was proving to Reb Yosy from the story of Tferia. They told us Chamahu, it's exactly the same case as the Shmata, where it became heated from the sun. The Chamei Tferia is also heated from the sun. And the Rabbanon said it's Asr. On that, Reb Yosy said, you can't bring me a raya from the Chamei Tferia. Amalu Hahu told us Arhu, the Khalifi, the Chalvi of Pesach de Gehenim. The way the Chamei Tferia get hot is not from the sun. The way the Chamei Tferia get hot is somehow under the ground on its way out into the pool. It actually passes by Gehenim. And Gehenim has real fire. And therefore, I consider Tferia Chamei Or. I don't consider it Chamei Chama. And therefore, you don't have a raya from there to the case of the Shmata, which the Shmata was heated up by the sun. Omer Rav Chisda. Mimaisa she'asu anshe Tferia, from the story that occurred in Tferia, where the Chachamim outlawed the use of the Tferia waters to heat up their cold water. Mimaisa she'asu anshe Tferia v'osr l'hu botla hatmana v'dover ha-moshe Hevel. This obliterated any thought to be mater hatmana on Shabbos v'dover ha-moshe Hevel. Because that's exactly what it was. The cold water was being insulated in the hot water from the Tferia around it. It's a Moshe Hevel. It's definitely heating up the water. And they outlawed it. So from there, we see that Atmana is also V'dover HaMoshe Hevel. Tosfos asks, why do I need the story of Tferia? It's actually a Meforish Mishnah on Mem Zayin that says you're not allowed to make Hatmana. So why do I need to learn it out of the Ma'aseh Tferia? So Tosfos says that we're talking about the Mishnah later on could be speaking about Ben Hashmoshes. You're not allowed to make Hatmana V'dover HaMoshe Hevel. But what about when it's still Friday afternoon, long before Ben Hashmoshes? From here you learn that even if you set it up Friday afternoon, long before Ben Hashmoshes, it's still going to be Osir. By feeling budget. Omer Ula Halachik Anshe Tferia. The Halachik Anshe Tferia, meaning it would have been allowed. Although the Chachamim protested, I hold what they did was right, and you're allowed to do that. Amar Rav Nachman, too little, too late. Because Kfar Tovinu Anshe Tferia L'Silunayu. They already busted up that pipe and took it out of the ground. So now you tell them that it's mutter? They already pulled it out of the ground. Thank you very much. Zok Tehillah Gemara Vayter. Ma'aseh she'asu anshe Tferia. So what happened? What do they want to do in this water? They wanted to bathe in it, because that's one of the things that we discussed. We discussed drinking it, and we discussed bathing. So exactly what was their plan as far as bathing in this water on Shabbos? If their intention was to take a full bath on Shabbos in warm water, Ella, are you saying that Chamin Shehuchmu b'Shabbos Hu Asurin? Are you telling me that the only problem there is because this water was heated on Shabbos and you're not allowed to take a bath on Shabbos in water that was heated on Shabbos? HaChamin Shehuchmu me'erev Shabbos Mutarin? If you have water that you prepared, that you heated up before Shabbos, are you suggesting that you're allowed to take a warm bath on Shabbos, provided that you warmed the water before Shabbos? We know that's not true. If you have hot water that was heated before Shabbos, on Shabbos, you're allowed to use warm water to wash your hands and face. You're not allowed to take a bath in warm water on Shabbos, even if the water was warm before Shabbos. So you cannot say that the intention of the people in Tferia was to bathe in that water, because even if that water was prepared from before Shabbos, they would not have been allowed to bathe in it. So what was their intention? What were they trying to accomplish by heating that water on Shabbos? Ella panav yadav v'raglav. It must be that they just wanted to use that water to wash their hands and face with. And that would have been allowed if it was prepared before Shabbos, and the Chachamim protested and said, since this water is being heated on Shabbos, you're not even allowed to wash your hands and face with this water. Let's look at the Seifa of our same Mishnah.
I
Beyond
thought,
it,
yes, I thought the Gehenim doesn't burn on Shabbos.
so it's a very good question. If Gehenim doesn't burn
Whoa,
on
that's a
Shabbos,
big headache.
maybe Gehenim does burn on Shabbos, but people get a vacation. They get let out. I'm not sure.
It's just simmering.
Right, because the Rishonim get left in there. Right, because the Rishonim get left in Gehenim.
For Shabbos?
No, that's they get out. They have a day off.
Everybody gets out on Shabbos.
What do you mean the Rishon?
Because of the story with Rabbi Akiva. The story with Rabbi Akiva and Tunis Rufus.
What's that story?
Good kasha.
Story.
Tunis Rufus told Rabbi Akiva that Shabbos, there's a difference between Shabbos and Sunday, and it's a bunch of baloney. So Rabbi Akiva said, of course there's a difference. The Sambatyan flows and shoots rocks on Shabbos, throughout the week, and it doesn't do it on Shabbos. So Tunis Rufus says that I have a Kabbalah from my teachers that people who want to lie, they speak about things that are very far away that I cannot check out. So Rabbi Akiva said, oh, really? I'll tell you something that's close by. Go to your father's grave. Tunis Rufus, go to your father's grave that's just outside of Rome, and you'll see that smoke is rising from his grave. This is a Gemara. And smoke is rising from his grave throughout the week. However, on Shabbos, the smoke stops. And he went to the grave, and Rabbi Akiva went to the Besmedrash to be mispalel so that this should actually happen. And Tunis Rufus saw that. And that was the end of the machlokes, or that interview.
Wow.
So from there we see, like we said before, that the Gehenim actually does stop on Shabbos,
or it doesn't go to him. They didn't channel the heat to the guy anymore. Could be they channel it elsewhere. They channel maybe they channel it to Tveria. Okay, so let's look at the Sefer of the Mishnah. The Yom Tov, what's the status of this water on Yom Tov? It has the status of Chametz Shehochim b'Yom Tov. B'Asurim b'Rechitza. Although you cannot bathe in it, Umatorim b'Shusiyah, you would be allowed to drink it because you are allowed to cook water on Yom Tov to use. Zok the Gemara, Leimet nan stama k'vei Shammai. Based on what you're saying, our Mishnah is only going to be consistent with Beis Shammai, who of course we don't paskin like, and you never want to make a Stam Mishnah consistent with Beis Shammai because we normally paskin like a Stam Mishnah. So therefore, we would want the Stam Mishnah to be consistent with Beis Hillel. Ditnan, Beis Shammai oimim lo yichem adam chamin l'raglov elam ken ruin shusiyah. Now there's a concept on Yom Tov of mitoich shehutra l'tzorich hutra shaloi l'tzorich. Beis Hillel holds, since we allow cooking for oichel nefesh, once we allow cooking gets a complete green light, and now you're allowed to cook, even not for oichel nefesh, you're allowed to cook water even to use to bathe in. Beis Shammai holds no. Just because cooking was allowed, we only allow it l'tzorich for what the intention was for oichel nefesh, but it wouldn't be allowed for anything else. And that's why Beis Shammai says, lo yechem adam chamin l'raglov elam ken ruin l'shtiyah. If you're cooking it to drink and you have extra water, yes, you're allowed to bathe in it, but you're not allowed to cook up water for the sole purpose of bathing in it, because that's shaloi l'tzorich. We're still matirin. It still holds once bishul is allowed on Yom Tov, we allow it even for any reason, even to heat up water for bathing. Now,
yes, sorry, just keep in mind that it's almost 8 o'clock, so find the next rest stop if you can.
Yeah, we're actually almost at a rest stop. We'll make it. Thank you for reminding me. So over here in the Mishnah it says it's the surin b'rechitza, meaning like Beis Shammai, who holds you not allowed to warm up water to bathe in. Beis Hillel would hold its mutter. So if you learn that speaking of Panav Yadav Raglov, we're going to have a big problem because our Mishnah is not going to be consistent with Beis Hillel. Here the question is, there's bathing in hot water, which you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. There's washing Panav Yadav Raglov in warm water that was prepared before, that you're allowed to do, and you're even allowed to cook hot water according to Beis Hillel to wash Panav Yadav Raglov. But there's a third option, taking a shower. Taking a shower is where you would be allowed to do that on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos, but you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov in warm water provided that it was cooked up before Yom Tov. And this will be a great rest area to stop at. So I guess Motzei Yom Tov will pick up over here.
Oh, really?
Yossi, today is
Does
also
anyone have
your.
to change over?
I'm sorry?
Don't we have to change over? No one's going to be busy changing over Motzei Yom Tov?
Oh, that's right. Motzei Yom Tov is a busy, especially since it's Friday the next day. So what does the island feel? What
Unless we do it really late. I don't know.
I'm not going to be available no later.
Motzei Yom Tov is very hard, especially since it's a Friday. Should we just
unless our Zoom radio has a marriage counseling session on Sunday.
The question is, could we even learn Friday morning because we're going to be up very late putting our kitchens back together.
Well,
I'm good for Friday.
Okay, so we'll learn Friday. Akiva, you're muted. 1 second.
I got it. Maybe we could try for at least maybe a double header on Friday. If Friday's late, I don't know if people are going to take Shabbos in early or late.
Or maybe Sunday do a double header.
What time's
maybe we could do Shabbos.
Maybe Motzei Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos.
Okay, so the VAR will learn Friday morning.
What time? Friday morning, because we have Vasikin Friday morning, no?
I don't know. What time is Vasikin now?
Now it's probably close to 6:30. So we could learn after. We could learn at
this morning 6:35.
Yeah, so we could learn at 7.
When? What time?
So
why so early?
Why is Vasikin so early, Mati?
No,
Akiva, you take a vote and you post it on WhatsApp.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
So we can get extra time. Maybe start at 7. We can learn till 8:30. Get an extra.
Yes.
You're there. Yeah, today is also your neighbor Willie Wolf's yahrtzeit.
That's right.
Remember, he was a friend of yours. You used to take him to shul. I just mentioned that. Have a good night, everybody. Sure, Tavis.
Good night.
Are we on this channel for the Hall?
Yes, same channel for the Hollow.
So do I have to leave? Or I can just stay on.
I might just stop the meeting and then restart another one. That's all.
Is Yossi still there?
Same ID?
Same ID. Same
Okay.
ID.
Okay.
I ask everybody if you can join
ready.
us at 4 o'clock. Yes, you want to plug 4 o'clock?
At
4 o'clock. I know Akiva has prepared a very, very riveting presentation. We're having the best of the industry. We're having live.
Akiva, you can make a lot of money. You can be the morning man and the afternoon drive-in.
But you have to understand, we have a very special occasion. Do you remember when Leib Shlach would daven Yom Kippur and he had his 2 boys on either side saying,
a double choir.
Double choir.
Today we're having that. Leibel is singing with his sons.
Wow.
So this is a blast from the
4
past.
o'clock?
It's going to be very nostalgic. And maybe we'll ask him, besides all his singing, to do the emes with his boys together, because that really defines our Yom Kippur.
Okay.
So it'll be a very special.
Akiva, your schedule says 5 o'clock.
Also,
that's way too late.
What's better? It's at 5.
It's too late. You make an early Shabbos. 5 o'clock is.
No, I don't know.
Early Shabbos. That's the plan.
One second. You can make early Yom Tov.
The Rav said last night.
The Rav said 6:36 is Lech mentioned.
So you're making it early. That's why I moved it back to 4. I didn't realize. Normally we don't make early Yom Tov. Yom Tov you take on time. But because of the situation, I think the Rav changed it to allow to make people early.
Sorry, Yossi, are we going to pick up where we left off? Friday
I guess
morning?
so. Yes. We should be able to catch up. And I guess Friday we'll learn whatever time in the morning we start to learn. Motzei Shabbos, we'll see what the other wants to do. And Sunday we could probably learn a little longer and catch up.
Okay.
Is David Dayan on? I'm not sure. He asked some very good questions last night on the chat.